Who am I to argue with Glasgow's most famous poet, Bud Neal, when he wrote Winter's Diabolic Intent? There must be a lot of wee Josies with skint noses out there. It's so bitterly cold here. But the pitch has been swept clean of snow and has cleared the way for Dundee United to come off that 3-0 win of last week at Butondry with exactly the same side, which means a Canadian twinning in this game with Jason DeVos, the Canadian international, continuing. And of course, he's accustomed to this weather. Well, there aren't 11,000 here to see St Johnstone today, but nevertheless, a vociferous backing for the team that pushed Rangers all the way, and nobody did it more so than the other Canadian international, Nick Dasovic, last week's fully deserved man of the match. Well, I hope the weather forecast for the northeast doesn't prevent the referee, George Simpson, from getting back to Aberdeen tonight. That was, of course, an excellent win for Dundee United last week, but, you know, if you're going to be taken seriously, you've got to win your home games, and they've only done that once in the league since the start of the season. Whereas St Johnstone don't come here with any great fears of this ground. In the last 3 games, they've averaged 2 goals, and that's not a bad record for an away team. It's going to be cold out there. The surface, of course, and let me remind you that Tannadice has the undersoil heating, but the surface, I think, will be a little bit tricky to start off with until they adapt to it. And the other question, of course, is will St Johnstone, despite the great and deserved praise they got last week, suffer a little hangover? Sometimes that happens. Dodds on the far side. Malpas. Wallace Malpas' reading of the game was wonderful, of course. Well, there's nobody at all in the middle for Dundee United. Well built up on the left-hand side, but somebody had to be coming streaming through the middle. Forward there by Gary Bolin. That's not a bad ball across. Picked up by McQuillan. There's Samao. Well, Samao did very well to get into position for that. Not the tallest player, and of course at a disadvantage here, but good timing there, and you could say poor covering to start off with. There's DeVos, he got his head to it, but a rather weak ending. There he is, he's been doing double training to get himself fully match fit. Big, tall, powerful, rugged player. I'm sure he started his career in ice hockey. They're all built that way. Now Kane. Dundee United can't afford to let Kane be picking up balls there without challenge. Somehow. Kane again, that's a better ball down the outside, John O'Neill. Well, he makes these very useful runs, O'Neill, down the right-hand side, and of course, as I said last week in the final, he really is involved in midfield. Hardly ever away from the action. Grant down there, and that's, you can see as that ball was played down to him. Watch the action, not just of Grant here, but of Scott creeping into the box. There he is on the left-hand side, and he wasn't far away from it. Dasovic couldn't get in quickly enough. Zetterlund, Malpas. He's been up frequently in that position, and they're not clearing the lines effectively enough. That's excellent play there by Craig Easton. Teenager who's looking very good indeed, and that's turned around there by Olofsson, letting fly at that. Turned quickly on it. Olofsson right behind it. Neil picked it up very well, coming up and outside. Oh, that just touched over. Philip Scott picked it up well, it touched the crossbar before going over, and that's the best move of the game.
And the welcome for it coming at this stage, neatly played out. And you could see, I think, his body swaying away a little bit too much to the right-hand side. He did drag the ball round. Off dodge to Kernahan again. There's Samau. Grant tries to go through the middle. Now it should be picked up by Scott. Samau running on just inside him. He gets it through and it's too tight. Back to Kane. No, that must be. Oh, how did Samau miss it? Well, the word goal was taken right off the tip of the tongue here. Samau was at the root of the play. And watches this ball is turned inside. Look at the run forward by Samau, and I think, quite frankly, the goalkeeper intimidated him in the best possible way. Easton again. Morris Malpas. It's got to be sent over quickly. Good defending by Dasovic. Loud shouts from the crowd behind the goal that a hand had been used, but that's the effectiveness of this player as the half-time whistle goes. And as one would have expected, it's been a tense game as a kind of local derby. But here's the man who has the best chance of the game. As I said, I think the presence of the goalkeeper rather intimidated him. I think the ball and the goalkeeper should have gone into the back of the net, but he's not built like that somehow. And as a consequence, it's a goalless half-time score.
Well, at this stage at half-time, it doesn't look as if St Johnstone are going to break the very good recent record away from home. They're undefeated in the last 5 games they've played outside their own pitch. And they haven't been all that seriously threatened by Dundee United in this game. 2 kind of peely-wally shots at goal is about all they've summoned up. They'll have to do a lot more than that. Although St Johnstone themselves, as I said, they had the clearest chance in the game so far. Mark you, when you've got to go back 10 years to get to a no-scoring draw between these two teams. There's Samau, and he almost makes amends. It was going to turn out to be very awkward for him in the turn. Watch his turn here. Very tight space, and of course he had to go for the near post, and it didn't come off. Whipped away by Dolan. Billy Dodds. I would imagine the team talks in both dressing rooms would have been quite vociferous. Easton touching it in. Billy Dodds, a little bit of confusion there that time, and that's a no. Olofsson in a position where I suspect if Dodds had been, that would have ended up in the back of the net. There's Dodds, a little bit of indecision there as Matthew got in his way, and Olofsson picks it up there but doesn't give it enough angle or dig. Here's Samau, controlled that very well. Dasovic opens it up, Scott picked it up. Walking usefully there, that's not a bad ball inside to Grant, brilliantly saved. And certainly the most flowing move in the game so far, and that's a superb save by the goalkeeper here. Started off with Grant, finding it difficult to get any space, but then he turned, gets it past the defender, and the save of the day from Alan Coombe. I think Sandy Clark must be looking at the chances that have come his way and feel justifiably they should have been up at this stage, but that's football. Billy Dodds neatly laying that down. Matthew. Olofsson drove that in. Oh, brilliantly taken by Dodds. And that's how sharp he can be. As I said, his service up till then has been totally inadequate, but when it came, he was ready for it. Brilliant little move here to the left. And all credit to Olofsson, who hasn't done all that much in the game up to this. Delightfully deft, curveball there, superbly struck in there, and there's no question about it. When Billy Dodds goes forward like that for his 9th goal of the season, you can well see how valuable he has been in being brought to Tannadice.
Well, he's not looking all that happy at the moment, Paul Sturrock. They're 1-0 up, but he realises from his own experience how well St Johnstone can play, and there's a long way to go. There's Samar trying to sneak round the back, and he does it. Just keeps possession. It's a bit wide there, but Boland's coming up. Is he going for it? And that must be a penalty kick. Well, I think they're perplexed. 10 minutes into the second half, as Easton went for that, you could clearly see some sort of collision developing. Oh, that was wild. He didn't really need to do that. I think he realised that Boland was going to go round the left-hand side, and that was a bad tackle. Roddy Grant to take this, and taken with the utmost confidence as Saints pull it back again to 1-0, as I said, just on the 10-minute mark in the second half. And a yellow card for Grant, I think, for the way he went across there and rather sarcastically blew kisses to the Dundee United support. St Johnstone thoroughly deserving to be back on equal terms, whereas Billy Dodds had scored that brilliant goal. It was really the only ball into the penalty area that caused that St Johnstone defence all that much bother throughout the entire game. There's a better shot and goal there by Dodds again as he gets into the box. How dangerous this player is. Watch him come in here, he floats into position. Watch the left-hand side of the picture there as he gets in front of the defender who was ball watching. Cluster of players there in the free kick. Olofsson being dumped. Dasovic comes across, lost his footing a bit. Can it be spread out? It is. Pasquale coming up on the end of it. There's Billy Dodds again. And I think he may just have been put off by the presence of Olofsson. And was he trying to lay it down to somebody? Well, there's the Pied Piper. He makes a sound like the pipes in actual fact. I'm not quite sure what tune he's playing, but St Johnstone after the tunes of glory. Away by Patterson again as Samar tried to lay it back to Grant. Dasovic. Up goes Grant, coming in on the outside there, an appeal again by the St Johnstone players. I don't think they were going to get a penalty out of that. John O'Neill making the buzz forward on the right-hand side. Ooh, la la, well, now then. Many's a penalty I've seen being given for that. Driven in deep, and just touched away. Again, it was Darren Dodds who was offering the difficulties there. There's a deflection off that shot by John O'Neill. Lying very handy there as the ball breaks back to him. The confusion caused by the presence of Darren Dodds in the air. And there's the little deflection. O'Neill to take. Disappointing one, but he gets a little give back. Needs a little bit more loft. Disappointing ending to that one. And there's pass by Dodds again. Just so awkward when he gets into the box in the air normally, but he did very well to turn on that. There's Dasovic, beautiful little play. Kane, Scott. Boland read it well. He has Lowndes inside him, and that was touched away. Just good piercing move there by St Johnstone. That's much more typical of their play. Kane goes across to that far side. Across, goal there, and it's up the line. Pasquale clears and over the bar eventually. Well, Canahan was up for that, but I think the credit goes to the Frenchman eventually for being in the right place at the right time. It's headed across there, and as Canahan got a shot in, Pascal makes the block. Back across, goal again, and Grant gets that shot in. Canahan it was, in fact. Canahan coming up as he did the last time. Watch him coming in here. Played right across, and that wasn't far away. And the latter part of this game is reminiscent of much of the first half. The play very scattered, sporadic. And Joe Miller's added a little bit of dash and imagination to that right-hand side for United since he's come on. A minute into stoppage time. And he wants the Dundee United players to flood into the box there. It's touched away by Boland. Total miss there, and I think St. just glad to put that away down as the final whistle goes. As I said at half-time, I expected this game to be very tight, but the second half made me almost forget that I feel as if my toes are frostbitten. And as a result of that goal, the first one coming from Billy Dodds, a snap but brilliantly taken effort after he had such a paucity of service in the first half. His first effort at goal, and that surging run by Gary Boland. Unfortunately tackled there, because I think it was quite unnecessary by Easton, but the penalty rightfully awarded and rightfully sunk by Roddy Grant. One each, the final score, but on balance, I think St Johnstone should have edged it.
I think the lads did particularly well coming back from a defeat in the cup final against Rangers. And being a goal down against well, a really good goal from Billy Dodd's point of view, but we showed really good character and come back and get an equaliser. When a wee bit break of the ball or a good refereeing decision, we might have got all 3 points, but credit to the lads, they played really well and I think deserved their point at least.
Well, that was the Saints assistant manager Sandy Clark, one of our studio guests this evening. Sandy, you always knew that was going to be a tough game. Were you happy with the point, or did you maybe feel you could have taken 3?
Well, I think when you look at the highlights of the game there, I think we really dominated the game, you know, for long spells. We had lots of chances, unfortunate not to get more goals, and Alan Main really hasn't had the safety to make the whole game. So at the end of the day, we maybe settle for a point before we go, but disappointed now we haven't got 3.
How disappointed were the players after last Sunderland?
Well, I think he'll need a lot more time. I mean, I think they had a disastrous start to the season. Morale was low. Some of the signings, I think, with hindsight, looked fairly dubious. So I think he will need time to apply his own ideas and to bring in some of his own players. I mean, the squad he's working with is more or less a squad he inherited from the previous manager. So I think he would say this time next year would be the time to judge him.
Okay.